Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Rolly Romero is looking in great shape, getting ready for his fight in a couple of days against Tank Davis. You can tell Rolly Romero took this fight serious. There was some concerns with Rolly in his training camp because he was just really talking like, and he still is, talking like he's just going to walk through Tank Davis. Like Tank Davis is too small, couldn't possibly pose a challenge to him. Now, we all know better than that, but it didn't seem that Rolly knew better than that. At any opportunity when Rolly has a microphone pushed in front of him, he's very entertaining. He really is. But it does not sound like he's taking the fight serious in regards to as a huge opportunity to get himself where he believes he belongs, which is being a superstar in and out of the sport of boxing. Defeating Tank Davis could do that for him. When it comes to the pay-per-view event, a lot of people feel that Rolly sold the pay-per-view. They feel that if it wasn't for Rolly and Rolly's personality and his behavior in front of the camera, then this fight wouldn't really be spoken about. They feel that this would be viewed as Tank Davis cherry-picking another opponent or Floyd Mayweather cherry-picking an opponent for Tank Davis. This is the story, people. Rolly Romero is not a cherry pick. Anyone who's paying attention to Rolly Romero in regards to his training for this fight, in addition to that, who's took the time to go back and look at Rolly Romero, he only had 14 fights. Look at all 14 of his fights. You can see the nature of progression. You can see where there are some areas that can be exploited by Tank Davis, who is the wonderful master boxer and super boxer puncher. So when you look at the resumes, you look at the pedigree, remember, Rolly didn't start boxing until he was 17. Prior to that, he was into Taekwondo. But that doesn't necessarily hurt him. That's why Rolly is extremely physical in the ring, and he will wrestle Gervonta Davis. He will foul him. He will put an elbow in his neck. He will throw him down. Rolly does not care. But when you look at it on paper, you got to give Gervonta Davis the edge to win the fight. But there's two questions, right? One, when you look at the odds makers, right now if you bet $100 on Rolly, you can win $650. But before, it was like you bet 100 on Rolly, you would win like, I think, 1,200. So those numbers are coming down now. You're seeing that people are like, okay, hold on a second. This guy really does have a chance to win. A lot of people say it's just a boxer's chance. I mean, a puncher's chance. I'm going to go out and say, within the first four rounds, I'm going to say the fight's 50-50, okay? Now, the reason why I'm saying that, well, so the first thing was the odds makers. The second thing was who's a pay-per-view draw, and who would be the bigger pay-per-view draw going forward. But anyway, back to what I was saying, being a 50-50 fight, right? We're going to come back to who potentially could be the biggest pay-per-view draw. Why the fight is 50-50 the first 4 rounds? I'm going to tell you right now. I'll sip some coffee before I tell you this, right? It's that Japanese coffee I used to drink, man, when I was over there. Shit is good. This is why. And this is what happens with these guys in boxing. Too much pride. Tank is saying it's going to be fireworks. He's going to come in there. He's going to go toe-to-toe with Rolly Romero. Now, it could just be talk, but let's say Tank does do that because he doesn't like Rolly. He wants to prove that he's the better fighter, he's the bigger puncher, and he wants to knock Rolly out. Why in the world would Tank go in there and stand in front of Rolly? It doesn't make sense. Not so early in the fight. So if he really does this, Tank loses all of his advantage. I don't care what you say about you like Rolly, you don't like him. The boy can hit. The boy has speed, and he has a weird style. And he's taking this fight extremely serious. If you look at it, look at his how he's built, and look at what he's been able to do over the last 4 or 5 months. How he looks aesthetically. Rolly looks in good shape. Tank Davis looking like Manny Fresh from I don't even know what the hell the name of that group is, man. But anyway, he looking like Manny Fresh. You know what I'm saying? So Tank is all wearing the big clothes, and you can't really see how his physique is. But I have a feeling that Tank may have worked really hard with a nutritionist to kind of put on a little bit of muscle, a little bit more muscle, and kind of bulk up to prepare for what Rolly's going to bring. Tank's not stupid. His team's not stupid. They're not going to go underestimating Rolly. Tank's trainer, what's his name, Calvin Ford, he said Rolly is a dangerous fighter. He said that. And I was glad to hear him say that. You know why? Because Rolly is a dangerous fighter. You don't just come out there knocking people out the way, especially in the last fight. Rolly wasn't supposed to win that last fight. That guy he was fighting, man, I think he may have been an Olympian, but he had a sound pedigree, man. That guy was a good boxer. And in the ring, he did some good stuff against Rolly, but he just couldn't handle what Rolly was throwing at him. And this what could work to Rolly's advantage in the first 4 rounds if Tank chooses to prove a point and go to war. Every punch Rolly throws is fast and is hard. That could prove detrimental to Tank. The positive to that for Tank, with a guy like Rolly who throws fast and hard every shot, is Rolly has a tendency to throw wide shots. Tanks are going to see that shit a mile away, and Tank is going to get there quicker. If he does, you can see Rolly get hurt and get hurt badly. Doesn't matter if Tank was fighting weight-drained opponents or bringing guys up like Leo Santa Cruz, who really should have been in the weight division, fighting at 135. He is really, or 130, 35. Guys fighting at 140 who really should have been at 147, 154. It doesn't matter. You don't just knock a person out cold by accident. You know what I mean? Consistently. Got to be something in your hands. Got to be something in those hands for you to be able to do that. So you got to say, Tank, if he gets in there and he catches Rolly, he's going to hurt him like he's hurt every other fighter. Same thing. Conversely, if Rolly hits Tank, he's going to hurt him. Okay? So we talk about the odds. It's coming down now. I'm not saying it's going to be a 50-50 fight, but they're giving Rolly more of a chance to win, okay, and pull off the upset. The second thing is, it's a 50-50 fight because Tank is really talking about going and trying to exchange and prove a point, which I think is stupid. No need to do that. Box him frustrated when he starts lunging in and getting wild because Rolly's going to be aggressive. He's aggressive. He can't change his color. And then after the 4th or 5th round, after you boxed him, picked him apart, got him frustrated, then let go of your big shots and get him out there in the mid rounds. But this is the question. Who do you think will be best suited as a pay-per-view attraction? Going forward, right? You got Tank, you got Rolly, okay? If Tank wins going forward, would he be a bigger pay-per-view attraction with this win against Rolly? Now, if Rolly beats Tank and he goes on, would Rolly go on to become a much bigger pay-per-view attraction than Tank Davis currently is? Now, I'm going to say, I'm not sure how much more Tank can grow in regards to him being a pay-per-view attraction. When you talk about, because these things matter, right? You can say it doesn't. Well, De La Hoya, everybody told, De La Hoya was handsome. More girls showed up at his fights than men, okay? Looks-wise, who's the better looking of the two? Okay? They're going to look at that. If you ask Rolly's going to say he's the better looking. So let's just look at that. I don't know. I'm not going to answer these questions for you. Who's the better looking? Whoever's the better looking, probably the guy who will be easier to market, right? Who has the better attitude? Is it Tank? He smiles, he talks nice, but he's had all this stuff going on outside the ring. Rolly makes a lot of noise when it comes to Tank, when it comes to his opponents. But if you listen to Rolly talk, Rolly's a good dude, man. Yeah, his mouth is foul. Rolly's a good dude. Watch him with his mom, with his dad. Watch him with his team. But watch when he speaks. Rolly's not saying a bunch of slackness. He just talks crap about his opponents. Okay? So again, is Tank more marketable or is Rolly more marketable when it comes to personalities? Who's more articulate? I mean, we can just throw that shit out the window, right? But maybe they're about the same. I'll let you decide. Put a camera in front of them. Who can articulate their thoughts? Who can complete a sentence? Who is familiar with current events in the world? Who can intelligently speak to boxing and be fair and unbiased? With Tank Davis, I don't know. He doesn't have the camera in front of him often. He doesn't have a microphone in front of him often. Rolly seems to gravitate towards that. And when he's not talking nonsense and he settles down, you get a lot of intelligence out of him. But you get that from Tank too. It's just Tank's not in front of the camera as much. But then again, that matters. Who can capture the imagination of fans? Not just with their fighting, but also with the personality. So what we're talking about is the whole person concept. When you bring it all together, right? Who can capture the imagination of boxing fans and make them want to tune in and watch? Now, Tank Davis, we know Tank Davis can put butts in seats. But now you have, I apologize for that, man. That's his coach calling for my son. They want him to play in this tournament. He's getting busy. He's on his way. He just had to stick with it. But so now you're looking at the whole person concept, right? Who can put butts in seats? You know, Tank can, right? But as far as capturing the imagination, a guy like Rolly speaks Spanish, speaks English. Got a very interesting story. Tank has a very interesting story too. Rolly couldn't talk. Rolly was unusually small. Rolly got bullied. Look at where he is now from where he came from. You know, Rolly's story is very interesting. Can really capture the imagination of boxing fans. But Tank's story has already caught the imagination. And what else can Tank do to add to that? I'm not sure. But I think they're pretty comparable as far as having the type of stories to capture the imagination of boxing fans. Who is easier to work with? I don't know. But what I'm getting at is, with Tank talking about possibly not continuing with Mayweather, maybe he is going to continue with Mayweather, but the fact he threw it out there that his contract is up after this fight, he wants to control his own career. This sounds like Conor McGregor and Dana White. This sounds like Francis Ngannou and Dana White. This sounds like the Oscar De La Hoya top-ranked situation. See, it sounds like Floyd Mayweather in the top-ranked situation. You see, this is what I'm hearing when I listen to Tank. Ishe Smith, longtime friend of Floyd Mayweather. He's even gone on record telling Tank, take control of his career. Don't be afraid to jump ship. Now, Ishe Smith was with Mayweather for a while. Mayweather took care of him, but maybe Ishe Smith felt like there was more that could have been done. Bottom line is you got to win fights, you know what I mean? Ishe Smith was a good fighter, but he wasn't elite. Okay? Tank is elite. Rolly may be. We don't know yet. We'll find it after this weekend. But going forward as a promoter, who would you want to promote when you're looking long term and the growing with that person and your company? Tank has all this legal crap going on. Rolly does not. So when you think about that, who do you think the promoter would actually be behind going into this fight? I don't know. But that's just something that, I think we should really table. Does Floyd really want Rolly to win? Because you don't know what's going on with Tank legally. You don't know if Tank wants to really be with your company. All the rumors and all the other drama that's going on with Tank. Rolly right now seems like a more manageable situation. But then again, this fight with Rolly could really put him in the same situations what Tank's currently in as far as being a pay-per-view draw. All Rolly has to do is start speaking more Spanish, and his fan base is going to quadruple because the boy, he speaks Spanish. But once he starts getting in front of that camera and speaks in English and also says stuff in Spanish, people, they're going to gravitate towards him because one, he's going to appeal to that Latino audience. Two, he has the fighting style that everybody likes. Rolly is aggressive. He's not there to dance. He's coming to kill you, man. Left and right hands, heat-seeking missiles, concrete in those hands. But everyone likes Tank too, because Tank is another one. He's not there to dance. He can, but Tank has more wrinkles in his game, which gives him an advantage. But as far as Floyd Mayweather and the promotion piece, going forward, looking at growth and long term, who would you want to be associated with your company? Now, I'm not saying it's Tank. I'm not saying it's Rolly. What I am saying is Rolly has to be taken into consideration. I just did a video about having two guys on your team that you're promoting and managing. You don't want either one of them to lose. You want to have two pay-per-view stars. But I think Rolly is outgrowing kind of being underneath somebody's wing. I already said when it comes, and Tank as well, but Rolly's definitely not a guy who just sit on the sideline and take handouts. But he's very, very appreciative. If Rolly can come in here and have some really, really good spots and hurt Tank, maybe not win the fight, but hurt him, Rolly wins. Rolly's name, his stock skyrockets. So it's a win-win for Rolly. Now, if he comes in there and he flops, well, that could hurt him tremendously. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I honestly don't think that's going to be the case. I think this fight is going to be very interesting. And if anything, Tank going to give Rolly this 1 in a million chance to knock him out. And Rolly's going to knock him out. If Tank stands there and foolishly tries to trade to prove a point, if Rolly clips him, and Tank has to live with that the rest of his life, that he got emotional trying to prove a point. You know, look at that guy. This is like a Hector Garcia, Chris Colbert type situation. This is what it is, man. Ricardo Mayorga, Vernon Forrest. But most recently, if you guys didn't see, if you don't know who Chris Colbert is, that's a guy who dyed his hair pink from Brooklyn, Big Mouth. He got in there and was, trying to let his hands go, but he had a pit bull in front of him. He couldn't get out of there, and that pit bull ran him over. I need to do, as a matter of fact, today I'm going to do a video on that guy, Hector Garcia, that guy from Dominican Republic. I honestly said that guy, please check that guy from steroids. That's how ridiculous the fight was. But a fight like this could end up that same way because Rolly Romero has that same mentality. He going to go at you hard every second of every round. Now, Tank is a much better boxer, has more power than Colbert, but stylistically, it's a similar matchup. And if you give the puncher an opportunity to get his shots off, you're going to have problems. And if you can't hurt him or can't discourage him, and they keep coming and letting their hands go, you're going to have a problem. Now, again, on paper, Tank should win. But if Tank fights off emotion and comes in there trying to slug it out with Rolly, it just may not end up well for Tank. But Tank's been doing this for a long time. He sparred big punches. Tank can fight, man. I just think he's going to give Rolly unnecessary advantages that, hey, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I just think he needs to be smart. But we'll see what's going on, man, with these two. I do know right now, the odds makers right now, they're favoring Tank, but it's getting closer every day. And with Rolly Romero and Floyd Mayweather, long term, and Leonard Ellaby, they may actually be, they're not dismissing Rolly Romero. But at the same time, he's signed to them, so they can't just come out here and say he's going to lose. But we will see what happens. But I just think those are things we need to think about. Because if I was a promoter, those are things I'd be thinking about. And it seems to me like the person who's the least amount of headache at this moment is Rolly Romero. And going forward, it seems to me like he would be the person who's more marketable as well. And I'm not just talking about here stateside, I'm talking about internationally. And we're talking about Tank is an amazing fighter. He has that style that a lot of people love. Rolly does too, man. And he has the mouth. You know, I said this was Mayorga Vernon Forrest like 2 months ago. I did a video like 2 months ago. Not everybody is saying that. I'm not saying they got it from me. But I as soon as I saw the matchup, the first thing I said into the video, the thing is Rolly speaks English. And he speaks Spanish. If Ricardo Mayorga spoke English, he would have been a superstar. He would have been a billionaire probably. But back then, you know, he just didn't speak English, and social media wasn't as prevalent as it is right now. But we will see what happens. I personally, I'm picking Davis to win the fight, but I'm gonna say, don't be surprised if there's the upset. If the upset happens, because if Davis decides to stand there to prove a point, giving Rolly an advantage. And if you look at the type of shape he's in, and when he's doing the media man, he's showing him hitting the mitts and the open workouts, Rolly looks really, really good. And I just really, really think if Tank and his team is buying into the hype, where everybody's saying Rolly's going to get clipped, Rolly shouldn't be in there, Tank by destruction. If he's buying into that, it could be to his own demise. But Tank's not stupid. He got in there. He survived against Pitbull Cruz. If Tank gets in there and tastes something that he doesn't like, if Tank gets in there and hurt one of his hands, Tank's not going to stand there and be foolish. Tank can box the whole 12 rounds. And I think he should easily be able to do that against Rolly Romero. I think the fight becomes hard for Tank if he gets in close, because Rolly is extremely flagrant. And he's going to throw him down. If Rolly throws a hook and somehow your head is here and his hook kind of catches you here with part of his arm, he's going to push with that forearm and throw you down by your head and just shove you down. Like, Rolly just doesn't care. That's why I am really looking forward to this fight, because Tank, for the first time, is fighting someone who really is probably a legit threat. I'm not saying Leo Santa Cruz wasn't a threat. I'm not saying Barrios wasn't a threat. But we know the circumstances surrounding those guys. But with Rolly Romero, no excuses at all. Real deal 135-pounder, could be at 140. Real deal power, real deal bitterness, real deal Maidana Mayorga type disrespect, flagrance about him. Like, he just does not care. And that, to me, can be very problematic for a guy like Tank if he's in there and he's, for some reason, gets caught up in the hype and he can't finish Rolly. Tank could have a serious problem on his hands. I'm not sure about the size of the ring, if it's a big ring or small ring. I need to find that out. If that ring is small, Tank, reality could come to Tank real quick, especially if he can't get Rolly out of there, because he's not going to be able to run and escape and use his legs as much as he wants. But anyway, man, that's my 2 cents. It really, to me, it really boils down. I don't think no one's going to rob Tank. I don't think no one's going to rob Rolly. But going forward for Floyd Mayweather and his team, when you look at these two guys stylistically, and you look at what the odds makers are seeing, is a reason why Rolly, the odds are closing. That gap is closing. And if Tank tries to prove a point, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I think with Mayweather, if Tank leaves, they got to find somebody to fill those shoes. Tank's worth, he made billions of dollars. I think he's sitting on maybe $500 million, right? If Tank bounces, which I think Tank should entertain bouncing to make the most money he can, Mayweather has the money to acquire talent to try to build the next superstar. But that hurts his promotional outfit tremendously. Tank is everything to Mayweather promotion. Like Ryan Garcia is everything to Oscar De La Hoya. And Canelo is everything to whoever the hell he's tied to at the time. You lose those guys, those promotion outfits struggle. Now they got to try to build somebody else. So, that being said, going forward, I think Tank on paper wins. If he decides to fight and be stupid, Rolly can win. And I think for the Floyd Mayweather team, I think it's easier for them to have a guy like Rolly as a pay-per-view star, because he can sell pay-per-view. And I just think people will gravitate towards him and his story when they get beyond his big dirty mouth. But anyway, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm in the breeze.